The ballroom shimmered beneath 1,000 chandeliers, every crystal reflecting light like a drop of frozen fire. Laughter, clinking glasses, and murmured gossip filled the grand hall as the city's wealthiest guests paraded in gowns and tuxedos worth fortunes. Amara stood quietly by the edge of the room, holding a tray of champagne flutes. Her black dress hugged her figure with understated elegance, her dark skin glowing softly under the golden light. To most eyes, she looked like one of the catering staff, poised, polite, invisible. Yet her eyes carried a quiet confidence that didn't fit the uniform. A sharp voice sliced through the noise. "Excuse me," the woman said with irritation, as if Amara had blocked her path. She was tall, blonde, and wrapped in a crimson gown that shimmered as she moved. The diamond necklace at her throat sparkled with arrogance. "You missed a spot," she said, gesturing to a barely visible stain on a nearby tablecloth. "You people really don't pay attention, do you?" Amara looked at her calmly. "I believe someone already handled that, ma'am." "Oh really?" the woman sneered, tilting her head. "And who are you to tell me that?" Before Amara could answer, a warm, familiar voice called out from across the ballroom. "Amara! There you are." The crowd turned. A tall man in a navy suit was walking toward her, exuding calm authority. His dark eyes softened when they found hers. The woman turned sharply toward Amara, scoffing. "Oh, so you're chatting with guests now? How unprofessional." Amara smiled politely but didn't reply. The woman laughed, a brittle sound. "You're certainly confident for a waitress. That dress you're wearing, it's lovely. I didn't know the staff could afford couture. Or did your employer lend it to you?" "It's mine," Amara said simply. "Oh." The woman stepped closer, circling like a vulture. "Well then, let's see if it's real." Before anyone could react, she grabbed the fabric at Amara's shoulder and yanked. The tear echoed like a gunshot. Gasps spread through the ballroom. Amara froze, the ripped silk falling loosely against her arm. For a long, breathless second, no one moved. The woman blinked, suddenly pale. "Oh, I didn't mean to." "Enough," Ethan's voice boomed. His steps were sharp, his anger controlled but cold. He reached Amara in 2 strides, taking off his jacket and draping it over her shoulders with tenderness. "Ethan," the woman stammered. I didn't know she was with you. You didn't ask," he said, voice low but cutting through the silence. Her lips parted, trembling. "Do you know who you just humiliated?" he asked. "This woman isn't a waitress. She's my wife." The crowd collectively gasped. Every whisper died. Cameras stopped, the woman's face drained of color. You thought she was what?" His voice was firm. "Black? She is. And she's also the most intelligent, compassionate, and brilliant woman I've ever met. The color of her skin doesn't make her less worthy. But your ignorance does." The room was silent. The woman's mouth quivered, but no words came. Ethan turned to Amara, his tone softening. "Let's go." Amara placed a hand on his arm. "No," her voice was steady, almost serene. "Not yet." She stepped forward, facing the woman who had torn her dress. The crowd watched, holding its breath. "You saw me and assumed I didn't belong here," she said. "Because of my skin, my hair, my quiet. You didn't ask who I was, you decided for me. And in one moment, you showed everyone here exactly what that kind of thinking does." Her voice was calm, but her words struck deep. "What you tore wasn't just fabric. You tore through years of quiet endurance, through every look, every assumption, every time someone decided I was less before even knowing my name. You revealed something ugly tonight, but it isn't me." The woman couldn't meet her gaze. Amara took a breath. "But I forgive you. Not for you, for me. Because I refuse to let your hate live in my heart." Tears glistened in the eyes of people around the room. Ethan's chest swelled with quiet pride as he watched her stand unbroken. Amara turned toward the crowd. "If this night was meant to raise money for children, let it also raise awareness. Kindness doesn't depend on status or color. It's in how we treat one another when no one's watching. Applause began softly, then grew louder, echoing through the grand hall like thunder. The woman in red fled, her gown a blur of shame. Ethan pulled Amara into his arms, whispering against her hair, "You didn't just stand tall, you changed something tonight." She smiled faintly. Maybe. Or maybe I just reminded them what dignity looks like. The next morning, headlines spread across every news outlet. Millionaire's wife teaches lesson on grace after racist incident at gala. The world applauded her composure, her forgiveness, her strength. Letters poured in, some from strangers, others from people who had suffered similar wounds. One stood out. It came from the woman in red. The letter read, "I am deeply ashamed. I was raised to believe I was superior, and I never questioned it until that night. When I looked into your eyes, I saw someone stronger than I'll ever be. I'm sorry for what I did. Thank you for teaching me what grace looks like." Amara folded the letter quietly and placed it in a drawer. She didn't need to reply. Change wasn't about words, it was about what followed. Weeks later, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Amara stood by the window of their penthouse. Ethan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You're thinking about that night again," he murmured. She nodded slightly. "It's strange how something cruel can become something beautiful." He kissed her temple. "You turned pain into purpose, Amara. That's power." She smiled faintly. "When she tore my dress, I felt broken. But maybe that tear was necessary. Maybe light needed a way in." He rested his chin on her shoulder. "You are that light." Outside, the city sparkled like a sea of stars. Somewhere below, music drifted softly, carried by the wind. Amara closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She had been insulted, humiliated, and underestimated, but she had risen without anger, fought without hate, and won without revenge. In the quiet of that golden evening, her truth stood unshaken. Grace could not be torn, and dignity, once revealed, never faded.